And hello, once again, another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club. And this is kind of a twofer, because if I look exactly like I did in the last video with absolutely no change, no extra growing on my face, no change of shirt, no nothing, that's because it's 5 minutes after the other video. Because I'm trying to stack up some, and I had a couple tastings to do today, and I didn't want to just do them in the same video to each individual things. So I'm doing a twofer. So even though this video that you're seeing is like a week or whatever, 2 weeks, who knows how long after the last one, it's directly in the same time frame as the other one. I play fast and loose with the time rules around here. But I'm gonna pop that cork, put it back in so you can hear it again. I am going to a bit of a standby, but also a bottle that I have not reviewed on the channel, but I have had before. I believe I've enjoyed it. And this is Jameson Black Barrel, triple distilled Irish whiskey. It's specifically called Black Barrel because it's in a charred barrel, charred for a rich, smooth taste. Now, generally, when they fill whiskey barrels, a lot of times they're charred to a certain extent anyway, or they're wood fired to burn off whatever was in the barrel the last time to a certain extent. You want some of the flavors if it's like a former bourbon barrel or it's, a certain other kind of barrel. You want to kind of burn off a little bit of that so it doesn't influence too much in what you're putting into it, as opposed to if you were doing a new American oak barrel, which is what a lot of bourbons use. It's brand new. They don't do much with it. But if you're using like a sherry cask or if you're using different things, you want to kind of take a little bit off of that so it doesn't unduly affect what you're putting into it. But you still want to get the flavor that's been kind of absorbed by the barrel. Now, if they're going to specifically go out of the way to char it more, it's to get that charred, smoky flavor into whatever they're adding to it. It's to add a little bit of like a smokiness to it. And that's what they've done for this one. And generally, I'm not a fan of regular, just off the shelf stock Jameson. I think it's okay, but it's not, a big deal. I like a lot of their separate bottle expressions. Like I liked the Black Barrel. I'm pretty sure the last time I had it. I like their. They make two that are from beer casks. One of them's from a stout cask, and one of them's from an IPA cask. And I thought they were both okay. I like the stout one better. And I think I've had another kind of Jameson that I can't remember off the top of my head. They make like an orange or something like that. That I don't know if we've ever tried it. I feel like we did, but I don't think so. I got to get it at some point just to say that I tried it, like citrus, because it'd probably make a good old fashioned because you use the orange zest in an old fashioned anyway. It would kind of eliminate part of that step, but we'll see. But anyway, this is Jameson Black Barrel, and we're gonna give this a try. That's a nice cork sound. Very nice. This cork's in there really good. And it looks like it is a organic cork. Remember, I mentioned that a lot, organic versus synthetic, not because I think it makes a huge difference, but maybe over time with enough reviews, we'll notice a difference. Maybe there is some kind of reason. I think it's more because with synthetic cork, you don't have as much worry over time with storage of the cork starting to kind of disintegrate from the proof of the alcohol, or for various other factors like temperature and whatever. But I guess it could be said that if you use a synthetic cork, then you might not be getting whatever minor bits of flavor might be imported by the cork. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's really a thing, so I'm just guessing about it. But if that's important to you, Jameson uses an organic cork. It's not that important to me so far. Smells good. Smells like an Irish whiskey. Smells a bit creamier than typical stock Jameson. I'm going to get a generous amount there. I'm going to play past the bottle. And it's a nice standard whiskey brown. I've made mention of this before, that Irish whiskeys tend to be a little lighter in color than bourbons and other American whiskeys. And some scotches, not every kind, but certain scotches, like the Speyside specific scotches, tend to be lighter as well. So part of it is due to the process, part of it is due to the water that they use, a lot of different things. So this is a bit darker than some other Irish whiskeys, but not super dark. It's not out of the ordinary too much. You have decent viscosity there. I believe this is going to be 80 proof. Let me double check. Let me double check. Yes, this is standard 80 proof. And it was, I believe, off the top of my head, $38.99 at the grocery store, my local grocery store here in Ohio. So relatively affordable. It's in that mid-range of affordability. Generally, my range is between $20 and at the most like $60 for something I'm kind of treating myself with. I try to stay within that range, or down in the lower end of that, because things are going up and it's very expensive now to be a review drinker and just a drinker in general. It's not a cheap habit unless you're buying $10 diluted rum, like 20-something-year-old me used to do. But yeah, $38.99, which isn't outside of the price range too much if you're going to be drinking something. And let's give it a try. Give it a little clink. It has that standard Jameson taste, but it does have an element of something else, like a fruitiness almost, like a berry and cream kind of something in the background. It's not really as smoky as I would have thought for being, but it's not really advertised as a smoky whiskey. It just says it's charred for extra smoothness or something like that. Let me read it what it said again. Charred for a rich, smooth taste. So they don't claim it's going to be extra smoky. That's just kind of the inference that I would make based on the barrel. But it's not bad. I like that bit of fruitiness in the background. I think it gives it a nice sweetness without being syrupy. Because I've had some bourbons and I've had some whiskeys that have just been sweet to the point of syrup when they weren't intentional. Like it wasn't something that was, unless it's like I did the Crown Royal Blackberry video a few videos back, and that was too sweet and syrupy in a way that, because they added the blackberry flavoring and because it was sweet. And Crown Royal is already a sweet whiskey anyway. Canadian whiskeys tend to be a bit sweeter than some of your other whiskeys. Some of your Irish whiskeys do tend to be on the sweet side as well, but sweet in a different way. It's like a sweet water kind of thing. I mean, I know water itself isn't naturally sweet, but some water, it has a certain cleanliness to it. It has a different taste to it. You know what I mean? Probably reaching a bit here, but if you know, you know. If you don't, then I don't know what I'm talking about either. But it's decent. Let me give it another try now that it's on the palate a little bit. And that berry sweetness is still in the background. It's a little bit more sour on the second, but not sour to the point that it's gross and kind of like, I'm kind of sorry I got it. It's a nice bit of bittersweet kind of. And it's not bad. I like it. I like it. This is a nice casual drinker. This isn't something that you need to sit and just slow sip. You could probably do shots of this pretty easily if that's what you're up to. This would be a good one to have socially if you're doing like a social drinking event. Again, be responsible, of course. Don't just, everybody get drunk and then go drive off places. That's bad. But if you're going to go to an event and you're going to cut loose a little bit and everybody's going to like, hey, let's do some shots, or let's just, drink a little bit of whiskey. This would be a good social whiskey, which is something that Jameson is kind of known for. Um, it was funny because I used to know people back in retail that when we'd be talking about alcohol, they'd be like, "Oh, well, I like Jameson, but I always get in trouble with Jameson." And it was a common theme. Everybody who said, "Oh yeah, I love Jameson, but then I always get in trouble." I'm like, well, then you're just not paying attention to what you're drinking. But that's because it's a casual sipper. It's not. It's something you can drink easily, so people go nuts with it, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, I could drink a bunch of it," and then they end up making poor decisions, or they get sloppy drunk or something like that. So, but like I said, it's a good, as long as you're careful and responsible with your drinking, then I can see this being a good social drink. Pass around the bottle, have some shots, have a good time, cut loose. I like that berry taste, and I don't think the sourness cuts it down too much. Sometimes you get some that on the second and third, that sourness starts to build up, and then it becomes kind of a chore to drink. But this is not that bad. I think it's pretty well balanced, and it is a bit more defined than the normal Jameson. I'll have to get a bottle of the stout edition and compare the two and see which one I like better. Because I liked the stout one. It's been a while since I had that, so I might pick that up the next time I'm at the grocery store if I still have this bottle. If I don't have this bottle, then maybe I'll try to save it until I have another one of these and try to do it back to back. Because I think that'd be a pretty good experiment to find out which one I like better. But anyway, $38.99 at the local grocery store here in Ohio. Local prices. Your prices may vary, of course. Jameson Black Barrel, 80 proof, standard, introductory, a good social drinking Irish whiskey, if I were to advise you at all on how to drink that. So that's it. That's another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club done, and I will see you folks next time. As always, of course,